Another block chat. It's Makram and Denis Petrovcic. And today we'll be demonstrating what does our newly launched, because we relaunched our marketplace, looks like. It's something simple. I'm sure you enjoy it. Stay with us till the end. Dennis will run us through it. Dennis, how are you?
Hey Makram. Hey, good. Doing well. I'm a bit, whenever you do a demo, especially if it's a live demo, you never know what's going to happen, right? But the
We
reason
know,
we're
we know
doing,
what's going to happen.
we know what's going to happen. So,
Exactly.
whenever you do a live demo, the there's always a chance that something goes wrong. But thankfully, we have Makram here who can, I would assume, start talking about something interesting while I fix things in the back if it happens. Jokes aside, the reason we're doing a demo is because our CMO, Julia, she said, look, the last time you did a demo, it was a while back. And what people see there is one of the first versions of the marketplace. There's been a lot of tech development from then till now, and we have some, I think, new cool features on the marketplace platform, and I think it's worth taking a look. So what I would try to do is take people through just the login screen, show how KYC works, browsing properties on a marketplace, and those kind of things. And for those who are looking to launch a marketplace with us, to see how it all kind of adds up together.
How it works, and at the same time what you will be able to see is how would you be able to research and purchase a property token. Remember, for more research you can always go to Tokenalytics. You can understand more about the property and about everything that's around it and all the data that runs on it. And on Blocksquare platform, you will be able to see today the ability to see what's behind the images. What is the corporate resolution like? What is being distributed? Where does the token get the rights attached to it, and how does it work? This is what we'll be demonstrating today. Stay with us, and we'll run you through it.
So one of the things I would like to show everyone, let's see if what we have here. So, all right, what we have here is the login screen, the sign up, sign in screen. And this is basically where you can create an account. A lot of people in Web3, they're used to coming to a site where the first thing they need to do is connect a wallet. We didn't want to go that route, and for the simple reason, one is we need to be AML compliant, so we need to have a proper backend with traditional kind of user accounts where private data can be safely stored in the backend, and only then afterwards you can connect a wallet. What's coming in the near future, and the first demo has been shown to me today actually, is account abstraction, which is going to really simplify how people can purchase tokens, because you don't need a wallet, it's already built in. But let's leave that aside. This UI then kind of changes as well based on the marketplace operator and their branding. So this is, for instance, the marketplace of Vera Capital in the US. This is from OVR Invest, a Portuguese company that is running their marketplace on Blocksquare's infrastructure. I'm gonna kind of switch back to Ocean Point's marketplace to take you around, and essentially kind of log in with a test account I set up to show you how a new user, you sign up and do the email confirmation thing and stuff like that, but then you can sign in, and this is essentially where you come to. This is kind of the initial screen where you come to. And here there's also a tour that can take you around and show you, the various places of the marketplace where your attention might be needed, or you might, be interested to understand what each part of the marketplace actually kind of means. Um, so let me switch off from the wizard or from the tour, right? Here we have this overview. You can see how many properties are listed on the marketplace, what's the average APY, the valuation of all the properties listed here. And you can go to the marketplace where you can browse individual properties that have been listed and tokenized. Some of them might be coming soon. Some of them might be already available for purchase. And when you want to look at a property, you click on it and you see a bunch of details around the property. But in order to buy some properties, you basically just need to write how much you want to pay for it, and it calculates how many tokens you're going to receive, and that's your kind of immediate step to purchase tokens. One thing, you do need to first identify yourself, and identifying means going through the KYC process to show who you are. It means showing your ID, doing a selfie, and those steps that are required for the platform operator, the marketplace operator, to understand who you are, where you're coming from. I'm not going to do this process right now with you, but just so you understand that basically it's as easy as scanning a QR code, and then the whole process is really easy to follow on your mobile phone. And I'm sure that many people who use investment platforms of one sort or the other have already done this kind of verification process in the past. Here on a property view, there's, here on the top, have information on what the property is. You can look at the images of a specific property. This, by the way, is images of the first property that we've ever tokenized, a single parking space in Tech Park in Ljubljana, in Slovenia. And this property has been distributing revenues ever since 2018. The background of this tokenization is a corporate resolution. And here there's this box which kind of indicates whether the corporate resolution is available or not for this property. And if it's available, you can see this resolution on IPFS. This is the unique identifier, and it has been stored in the smart contract for the tokenization. It tells you the information on the company that has tokenized it, who the representatives are, the shareholders, the subject matter of the resolution. And so here you have, the address of the property, the type of property, the token contract, how many tokens can be emitted in total, and what's the revenue share for each token, single token. So it's always 1 to 100,000. Then the percentage of revenues or royalties that you will be receiving. So if this property is producing, let's say, 10,000 a year, token holders would be receiving 8,500 per year. And this is based on top line revenues. So you don't need to care about the costs of the operation, because the manager already evaluated those costs and has a fixed obligation on the top line revenues. Then another important part is the buyback threshold, which kind of tells the investors how much governance they have to negotiate a fair price when the property owner wants to buy back the tokens from the market. Here it means that 50% of all token holders or of holders of all tokens need to agree with the buyback price. Um, and then the last part is the identification of the property as in the cadastre or land registry system of the country where the property is located. The
Let me
second,
mention a few things here, Dennis. All
yeah,
properties, guys, 100% of a property on our system is 100,000 tokens to make it very easy. In other words, every 1% is 1,000 tokens. All of those percentages are based on 100,000 tokens. Remember, sometimes 100,000 tokens are not publicly available because the property either has not been tokenized in full or the property has been tokenized in full and part of it is available. For example, if Dennis goes back here to the percentage, you will see that this property is 100,000 tokens. In other words, it's fully tokenized. However, when you look at the market, you will see it's 85,000 tokens available, for example. In other words, the owner, the original owner, retains part of the tokens and still wants to hold part. And this gives people flexibility. They don't need to sell 40%, 50%, 60%, or 100%. They can sell 30%, 20%, or the like. Sorry, Dennis, go ahead, please.
no. It was a perfect remark because I think that's kind of something important. A lot of times, people we get asked, so how much? If it's 100,000 tokens, you can't tokenize a property that is, I don't know, worth 5 million. It's not the case. Actually, you can tokenize any property of any value. It's the price of tokens that changes. It's not the quantity. And if you look at the future where anybody on earth will have 20, 30 properties in their portfolio, we believe it's much easier if you know by the token count, the token amount, what your stake is in a given property. Because if I have 1,000 tokens of property one and 5,000 tokens of property two, I know immediately that I have a 1% stake in the first one and a 5% stake in the second one.
100%.
And the other part is related to the top line revenues. It's very easy to manipulate profits, so P&L, but it's very hard to manipulate revenues because they're top line. It's what you charge tenants based on lease agreements and what gets paid by the tenants to the manager.
And what the taxman sees. And so this number is
Yeah,
scrutinized by multiple entities prior to it getting to you. Okay, which
exactly.
is very important as well. And any risk there is the risk of the manager. The manager is taking the risk of fluctuating costs, not you. Okay, and similarly, the governance rights. Whenever you say 50%, in other words, 50% of all token holders should be voting towards or against something. In other words, it's similar to you saying that if you don't have a 50% vote, you will not be able to conclude whatever you're trying to conclude as a title holder on that property.
Exactly, exactly, and I think that's kind of really simplifies to the bare minimum something that looks very aligned with what you want to have when you hold equity in a deal, but at the same time, the simplicity of debt in a way. Where you don't need to kind of be actively involved in the direction of a business, and here you can really kind of passively monitor what's going on with your portfolio. Because in the end, if you have a portfolio as a passive investor, if you're not professionally investing but you're passively doing it, you don't want to spend 2 days a week just looking at spreadsheets.
And that's as per our previous block chat. Go back to that if you haven't watched it. That's why property management and the quality of property manager and management and fiduciary responsibility of the property manager is very important over here. Let's move on. We promised you not to make very long sessions, so hopefully we'll not make this very long. We're trying to squeeze it as much as possible. If you want to slow it down, please slow it down on your YouTube. You can do so.
So what I did here, I clicked on the Etherscan link that's also available. This is basically for any user to see the smart contract as deployed on the Ethereum blockchain. So Etherscan provides an easy, human-readable way of looking at the property. And the interesting part is you can see all the transactions happening here. So it's perfectly, publicly visible what has been going on with this property for the past, since its inception, basically since its start. So if I go to the last one.
Immutable and transparent. Every single transaction that ever happened is there. Every single property, you can find the documents on IPFS. You can find the an IPFS. Please research what is IPFS and how do you store documents on IPFS. And every single transaction is here. Nobody can remove it. It's on Etherscan. It's on chain.
Exactly. And when all the data here, like Makram mentioned, 100,000 tokens have been here, so 100% has been tokenized. So the other parts of the capital stack are equal to zero, basically, on this property. But on other properties, that might not be the case. But it always needs to add up to 100%. So if there's debt and
Terms,
equity,
sorry, Dennis, here, very important point. When Dennis says capital stack, everything else is equal to zero, it means the property is purchased in cash, is owned in cash, 100,000 tokens have been issued, sold or not, kept with the owner partially or sold, that's a different thing. When you have either a funding or a mortgage or anything else, you would see it in the capital stack. You would see that there, and it again, it's immutable. Sorry, Dennis, go ahead, please.
No, perfectly fine. Let me switch back to the marketplace. So here you have a lot of things you can understand from the property. Who the issuer is, what the past distributions of revenue have been. You can see for aggregated monthly, quarterly, or yearly how much the property distributions have been for this particular property. And I think this is kind of important in terms of transparency. You can see here who the owner of the asset is in the land registry. You can see the capital stack that we were kind of discussing right now, what the holders distribution is, and you can verify this distribution of holders again on Etherscan, so you can compare the two. There's a section where it shows also how many of the token holders are staking particular property, and which means some properties are eligible for staking rewards on Ocean Point, which kind of boost returns. So instead of yielding 5, 6, maybe 7, 8%, depending on the property, you can get a much higher return distributed in BST tokens, so in crypto. And that's also a service that we provide to specific marketplace operators, so that they can also kind of offer that yield, that boosted yield to their community of investors.
A question that's asked, people ask, here is only 16 holders, is it only 16 people? No, it can be 300 people owning, staking. It looks as one contract because the staking contract is one contract.
Exactly. There's the trade history. So each transaction is recorded on chain, and you see here based on NAV premium, discount, what the volume was of that transaction, what the price per token was, etc. And that also kind of then is shown here in this chart. If you go back, for instance, to the marketplace, I can, let's take a look at some other properties here. For instance, this one with a valuation of 950,000, 8.5% estimated APY. Currently, there's 3,000 tokens available. And you have here as well, available open sell orders. So if there's the possibility of purchasing tokens, currently the best deal is at 4.7% above NAV, which means net asset value, which means at a slight premium, but it still yields 8.17% annually as projected.
The difference, the premium to net asset value, guys, is if somebody bought it for 100, selling it for 104, he's making 4% profit. That's 4% on NAV as a premium. If it's -4, it means he bought it for 100, selling it for 96, he's losing 4. So this is a dynamic that works, and you can sometimes get good deals there. And sometimes even if you're paying 4% more, if you're still getting 8% return, that tells you something.
Exactly. And here with this property, you can see by the trade chart that there's much more activity going on than on the previous one. The price is fluctuating somewhere between I would say what 9 to 10. It topped with $14 even sometime in the past. So it's always kind of around the net asset value, depending on the needs of the people buying and selling between themselves. And here's kind of the volume chart. We had a bit of a spike in volume in the past month, but otherwise there's a certain amount of volume happening on a monthly basis. Um, Now, what
By the
I
way,
maybe
guys, here, those transactions, you can go to the history of transactions, see every single resemblance of them. So you can take this data, put it on Excel or any other format you want, any other method you want, and get a similar graph to this. This is dynamic graph. That's the difference. So every single transaction here, you can see the size of the transaction. If the market spiked up or down here, the price spiked, it may be a very small transaction. It may be happened by mistake, especially when it's 30% up or 40% down. And you can see all of those. So not only can you see the data, you can see what does the data means and what's behind the data.
exactly. So if, for instance, what we can do now is maybe we just execute a transaction, we can buy 200 DAI worth of real estate, but let me round it up. Let's buy 20 tokens, for instance. The price per token is 9.95, which is slightly above NAV. This is two open sell orders. So this is what's available currently. And you can minimize this if you want to. And then you need to connect your wallet. So let's connect the wallet here. I'm going to choose MetaMask. Connect the account that I have whitelisted already. Okay, connect this wallet. And now that I'm connected, I can purchase the tokens, confirming them now on the wallet. Let's wait for the transaction to be confirmed.
We were trying to do it in 20 minutes, guys. We skipped slightly beyond it. I'm so sorry. But hopefully, with less than 25 minutes, we'll finish the demo.
So now the purchase of 20 tokens, which is a very, very small stake in this property, has been executed. And we can view this transaction on Etherscan. So 16 seconds ago, a purchase has been made from this wallet, and to this wallet, and this room has been purchased here. This property has been purchased through that process. Going back, what we can also do is we can check the portfolio page. Let me share this again. So here you can see then any past activities, so any open positions, any trade history, offering transactions. You can see account settings here, and you can see here in portfolio section, you can see the portfolio properties you own, how much of each property, and how many of this you have staked, if you have staked any properties. And here on the right side, you can claim any revenues for any property and see if there's any pending revenues for a specific wallet that you have, and you can claim those revenues from the contract. So I think that's
Revenue
kind of
distributions happen automatically, guys. Comes out and you see it here, and you can claim it to your wallet, MetaMask or otherwise, and then you have it there in DAI, and then you do whatever you wish with it. You can repurchase, reinvest, or you can buy anything else with it.
exactly. So I think that's kind of, we squeezed the end part because you said we're over time on the demo.
25 minutes, guys. If we're able to demo the whole project, the whole platform in 25 minutes, including do a purchase, including claim our rewards, including run you through the details, I'm sure you can do it as well. If you have half an hour this evening or any other evening over the coming week, do not buy, do not sell, just go and learn more. And then if you decide that that's the right thing for you, why not? Test it out, try it. It may be beneficial, it may make sense.
So, anything, Makram, you think we should be adding here to this session?
We said less than 20 minutes. We made it in 25. Guys, if we were fast, you can stop us over YouTube or any other platform, slow us down. Go back, please, to the previous block chat. You will be able to see more about why would we tokenize a property in a certain way, what is property management's importance, and many other things. Thank you for all of us, all of you, for joining our energy. Dennis, anything else for our community?
Um, Provide feedback, use the platform, use the marketplace, give us feedback. We are constantly improving things. Some things are visible, some are not. We also post product updates regularly. The team is doing a great job. There's new things coming as well, like I mentioned, and I think exciting times ahead. There's a lot of things moving in the background that people might not see, but I think the future for tokenized real estate is bright ahead. Yeah.
And what you need to start doing is looking at how can you cash flow and what's your cash flow. Would you want to get a 4% return, 5% return, an 8% return, 7.5% return? You choose your return, you choose your cash flow. It will compound and it will decide much of what will happen with your wealth tomorrow. Have a good evening. Until next